I hope the river isn't too busy today.
I hope so.
By the way, have you heard?
Heard what?
About the prince.
Oh. They say the prince is looking for a wife. Where did you hear this one from?
Wow, the river is dry. There is no water, nothing's up here. Everybody call
The river dried up mysteriously. There was fear across the kingdom. Later that same day, the market was busy like always. People were buying and selling. Then something felt off. The sky changed. People noticed and began to gather, looking up. A moment later, thunder struck. The big tree at the center of the market came down. The same tree everyone gathered under. The one that had always been there. People ran everywhere. No one could explain it. Nothing like this had ever happened before in this kingdom.
I heard the elders want to consult the gods. After what happened in the market yesterday, they have to. That tree falling wasn't normal. I wasn't supposed to hear this. Hear what? It's about the prince. He hasn't woken up. Please, don't tell anyone. I overheard it from my father talking to my mother.
Please, let's finish gathering this firewood and go. Walls have ears.
By nightfall, the palace was no longer quiet. The river had dried, the market tree had fallen, and the prince still had not woken up. The elders were summoned in secret. No drums, no announcements, only worried faces and heavy silence. They spoke in low voices, wondering if these signs were connected and what the land had done to anger the gods. Then someone mentioned the chief priest. If anyone could speak to the gods of the land, it would be him, the chief priest. As the elders spoke, the room grew divided. Some blamed forgotten sacrifices, others pointed fingers, searching for who had angered the gods. The voices grew louder. Then the king stood up. He said he had heard them all and that the gods must be consulted. He chose 3 elders and sent them to bring the chief priest to the palace. With the decision already made, the king moved quickly. He called the 3 elders forward once more. Then he assigned 2 palace guards to go with them. Offerings from the palace were prepared, because no one goes to the shrine empty-handed. The king instructed them carefully. They were to tell the chief priest what had happened, the river that dried up, the tree that fell in the market, and the prince who had not woken up. They were to inform him that the king had sent them, and that he was needed in the palace at once. They left the palace quietly. No drums, no crowd, only footsteps and heavy thoughts. The road that led to the shrine was lonely and feared. No one walked that path without permission, except messengers sent by the palace. It was said that once you entered that road, you must never look back, because those who did never returned. As they walked deeper, the air changed. A single raven appeared. It watched them, then it flew away. Moments later, it returned. This time it was not alone. 4 ravens circled behind them, not as a warning, but as a welcome, as if they had come to lead them the rest of the way to the shrine. Chief priest stepped out of the shrine, as if he already knew they were coming. When the messengers arrived, he did not look surprised. He told them he had been expecting them. He said the gods were angry with the kingdom, and that the land was already showing the signs. The elders delivered the message as the king had instructed. They explained why they had been sent and why the king was asking to see him. They presented the offerings from the land as tradition required. The chief priest accepted them and offered them to the gods. The chief priest agreed to come to the palace, promising to arrive at first light the next day. Before dawn, the chief priest left the shrine. He did not go alone. 4 maidens followed him, carrying fire and smoke. They were on their way to the palace to answer the king's call. Above them, 4 ravens followed in silence. They were known as the guardians of the shrine, watching over those chosen by the gods. And so, they walked on toward the palace. As they entered the village, people began to gather. They watched the chief priest pass with his maidens, fire and smoke in their hands. Fear showed on every face, but so did hope. Hope that the gods would hear them and restore peace to the kingdom. Chief priest arrived at the palace with his maidens. The king and the elders were already waiting outside. They had brought the prince out as well, lying on a wooden stretcher, still in his coma. The king welcomed the chief priest and began to narrate all that had been happening in the village. Chief priest then addressed the king and the elders. He told them that nothing like this had ever happened in the kingdom, not in his time, not in the time of their fathers. He said the gods must be called to speak. The chief priest said that a ritual would be performed in the forest, at the great tree in the heart of the village, where the kingdom had always called on the gods and offered sacrifices to them. He instructed the king to prepare the necessary sacrifices for the next 4 market days. Then he made another decision. The prince would be taken to the shrine, to be kept safe while he attended to him. With that, the chief priest and his maidens turned and left the palace once again. They carried the prince back to the shrine, as he still had not woken up. When they arrived, they laid him down, and the chief priest checked him carefully. Then he got to work, preparing the medicines of the land to attend to the prince. All the while they waited for the next 4 market days, when they would go to the great tree to call on the gods for answers.